Today we'll be covering what a day at Magic Kingdom looks like for us when we're in Walt Disney World. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm your host Oliver. Today is Sunday, November 12th, and you're listening to episode 10, A Sample Day in Magic Kingdom. Today is our 10th episode, and it is a special one because today I'm joined by my wonderful wife, Lucie.
Hello, everyone. As my husband said, my name is Lucie, and just like my husband, I have an extreme love of Disney. I also support his Disney addiction to the best of my abilities. And along with our two kids, a son and a daughter, we love to visit the parks as often as we can just to experience all the magic that the Disney parks and resorts have to offer us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're huge Disney fans, and I'm very fortunate to have a spouse who supports my Disney addiction. So, before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. The very first Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party of the season kicked off the holiday season on Thursday, November 9th at Magic Kingdom. We will be at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party on November 26th, and we'll bring you back some news from our experience there. Also, Jollywood Nights, the brand new party at Hollywood Studios, kicked off for the very first time last night, November 11th. We will be at Jollywood Nights on November 29th, so we'll be sure to bring you back news from that as well. Frozen Holiday Surprise, which Disney characterizes as a Frosty transformation, is a brand new show in front of Cinderella Castle and features Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf, which culminates in Elsa transforming the castle in a, quote, shimmering crystallized palace. This show will be nightly at 6:15 p.m., with a second showing at 8:15 p.m. on nights with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Disney Parks blog finally released its foodie guide to the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays. There's a lot to unpack here. There are many returning favorites like the slow-roasted turkey and stuffing from American Holiday Kitchen and the cheese fondue in a bread bowl from Bavaria Holiday Kitchen, as well as a bunch of new options like the Rugelach, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, pastry filled with raspberry jam, walnuts, and cinnamon. Holiday Hearth desserts will have many picture-worthy treats. The new mint chocolate mousse wreath looks very pretty, and the red velvet mini bundt cake with cream cheese icing is calling my name. There will be some new booths also: Swirled Showcase, Bubbles and Brine, Wine and Wedge, and Char and Chop. I realize these aren't brand new, but they are new to Festival of the Holidays. Wine and Wedge will have a Boursin fig and balsamic soufflé with fig tapenade. That's right up our alley, and I think Lucie will enjoy that. Le Marché de Noël Holiday Kitchen in France will have a gingerbread Christmas log with milk chocolate and hazelnut ganache. It looks and sounds amazing. They also announced the cookies that will be part of the cookie stroll, which we will definitely be partaking in, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Honestly, I'm so excited for the food on this trip. Between the parties, the food booths at Epcot, it's a lot and I can't wait. Over at Disneyland, the foodie guide to the Festival of the Holidays is also available. It will be available from November 7th, 2023 through January 7th, 2024. The list is extensive, and they also have a ton of new options as well as returning favorites. Having said that, let's get into today's main topic. Lucie and I will give you some insight into what a day at Magic Kingdom looks like for us when we're traveling to Disney. We'll go over where we like to stay and why, how we get to the parks, where we like to eat, how we structure our day, and how we use Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes to maximize our time. So, kicking things off, where are we staying?
Well, if it's just you and I, which in this next trip on November 25th, it is going to be you and I, we really like staying at Coronado Springs Resort. It is our favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. The resort there, it kind of feels like a deluxe resort, even though it's not.
Absolutely. Especially if you stay at the Grand Destino Tower, which is where we tend to stay. It is brand new. It's fresh. It smells amazing. The bathroom is so modern. I just love it at the Grand Destino Tower. It's my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you mentioned the smell because like any Disney resort, when those doors open, they pump a smell in there and it's next level. Like it's hard to explain. Like if you've experienced it, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's going to hit you when you walk through the front doors. I can promise you that.
Absolutely. Nothing beats leaving Orlando Airport, getting in your Uber or however you're going to get to the resorts, entering that Disney bubble and not leaving it until it's time to go home again. Yeah,
absolutely. I love getting into the Disney bubble and it's really magical. Honestly, we love it. So like Lucie said, we normally stay in the Grand Destino Tower, and that's actually a separate room category. The other buildings, so Casitas, Cabanas, and Ranchos, are actually a separate room category. We've seen the rooms there. They're also great. They've also been redone recently, so they look very similar to the tower rooms, actually. It's just we like the feel of the tower. So in terms of what the resort itself offers, it's a big resort. It has a lot to offer.
It does, yeah. It has awesome pools. There's the dig site pool, the main pool, and it has a giant pyramid and slide. It looks so much fun. We actually haven't partaked in it yet, but I think we should this time. And then there's 3 other leisure pools at Casitas, Ranchos, and Cabanas.
Yeah, absolutely. The dig site pool, like Lucie said, we haven't actually swam in it yet, which is unfortunate. We had our swimsuits on our last trip. We were all ready to go and it started pouring.
Yeah.
So we actually went back inside and ended up doing a bit of shopping before going back to our room. But next time we will definitely be swimming in that pool. It looks amazing.
Absolutely. And the dining at Coronado Springs is amazing. First and foremost, our favorite, Three Bridges Bar and Grill. You don't need a reservation for that one. Sometimes it is a bit of a wait if you walk up. The food is amazing. You cannot beat the food there. And the sangria flight, epic.
Yeah, absolutely. The sangria flight for sure is a must. It's 4 sangria, the house sangrias they put on a flight essentially. It's not too crazy expensive. I think it's around $20 and it gives you a really good sampling of what their sangrias are there. And they also have some good eats. I like that corn dip.
Oh, so good.
The
chorizo.
Yeah, 100%. The chorizo dip. You know exactly where I'm going with it.
And the wings.
Oh, the wings too. Like we love they have a bunch of, finger foods there or tapas style food and they're all delicious. Honestly, and the location itself too is amazing. It's located, it's called Three Bridges because literally it intersects 3 bridges in the center of the lagoon at the resort. Super nice setting. You have great views of the tower and the rest of the resort.
At nighttime, it's insane. Everything is lit up on the tower and the rest of the hotel. And if you're just sitting there right next to the water, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Other dining options here, you have Barcelona Lounge, which we like to grab coffee at in the morning before we leave. Dahlia Lounge is on the top floor next to Toledo. You have Rick's Sports Bar and Grill, which is more of your standard kind of bar food. Maya Grill, El Mercado de Coronado, which is actually the quick service location. Honestly, you have so many dining options here. It's more of a deluxe in that sense because it does have many, many options. In terms of shopping, there's Panchito's Gift and Sundries, and it's not a super big store. But having said that, it's got all the essentials.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has cute Disney things all together, all the Disney stuff you could need just from a resort store. And also it has a lot of the Coronado Springs design, mugs, t-shirts, all of that stuff. It's a lot of fun. Flip-flops, anything like that. Yeah,
absolutely. It does have some resort specific items. Like most resorts have their own stores will have merchandise that's specific to their places.
Absolutely. Especially the mugs and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to pick up one of those mugs.
Yes.
I keep saying that and then we don't. So we have to do that.
Agreed.
Actually, funny story. A few trips ago, I was looking for this yellow Walt Disney World shirt and we could not find it anywhere.
It was popular.
But sure enough, we found it at Panchitos of all places.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy about that.
It's definitely worth taking a look. Whichever resort you're staying on, just wandering into the store that is attached to your resort. Usually you can find some really fun stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So having said that, let's talk about when we do get up in the morning to go to the parks, how that happens. So we are early risers, even when we're at home. So it's not really a problem for us to get going in the morning. That's not a brag. It's just what it is with our kids and, work and school. It's just we are early risers. So taking the bus early for us is not a big deal.
Not at all. We like to get up in the morning when we get to Disney, our first park day, wake up, get ourselves organized for the day, get our magic bands on. Then we usually head down to the Barcelona Lounge and we grab ourselves each a coffee. I do believe it opens at around 6 a.m. So we each grab a nice needed coffee to start our day and it's perfect. And then we head on outside to the bus stop and wait for our first bus to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Barcelona Lounge, I forget if it's 6 or 6:30, but like Lucie said, we usually grab a coffee there on our way out to grab the buses. One quick thing about the buses is when you're staying at a resort, on the My Disney Experience app, under the resort tab, you'll actually have a tab marked bus times. You click that and it'll show you an estimated time as to when the first buses are going to come. So it gives you an idea of when you should leave your room. Don't leave too early, but have a look at it to see when the first buses are estimated to come, and it should give you an idea about when you should head to the bus stop. So generally speaking, when we're heading to Magic Kingdom, first thing in the morning from Coronado, we'll look at those bus times, and typically speaking, we'll head there around 6:45, 6:50 when Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m. The reason for that is because early entry is going to start at 8:30, meaning the first buses are going to come at around 7:10. Coronado has an internal bus loop. that starts at Casitas.
Yeah, with 4 stops.
Yeah, it's got 4 stops, and Casitas is number 1. We actually cheat a little bit, right? Because we normally stay in the tower, but that's the 4th stop. Just to make sure that we get on the bus. We always do. I don't even know why we do this.
It's nice to kind of get out for a walk while you're drinking your coffee.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's usually a beautiful morning in Florida. And so it's actually not too bad. It's a nice little stroll, have your coffee, and then you're one of the first people on that first bus.
Yeah, absolutely. So Casitas picks you up first, then it goes around, stopping at the tower, the last stop before it heads to the park. Now, again, it comes between 7:10, so by the time it goes around and then gets to Magic Kingdom, it's pretty close to 7:30. Now, they won't actually let you off the buses or the monorail or any other form of transportation. They won't let you actually go through security and go queue at the touch points until 7:30, which is 1 hour before early entry. And if you remember, we actually... several times we've been held in the bus until 7:30, and then they let everybody off at the same time.
Yeah, there must be some sort of a sign or trigger that tells all the bus drivers and the monorail operators, okay, let them out. And then it's just a sea of people coming off of all the transportation headed towards the ticket center.
Yeah, 100%. I got to think it's a coordinated effort. They have walkie-talkies and radios, and it all happens at the same time. So one thing about the buses that doesn't actually happen with the monorail is security. So for example, if you're staying at the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian, the Contemporary, you're going to go through security before you get on the monorail. So when you get off the monorail at 7:30, you can go straight from there to the touch points. If you're coming from the buses, you will have to go through security. Now, this is not a problem, assuming you don't set off the sensors.
Quick note, your umbrella will set off the sensors and your glasses cases will set off the sensors.
100%. Your magnetic glasses cases, we learned that the hard way. So the best thing you can do for that is take them out of your bag and hold them out in front of you. Cast members will tell you to do this. If they can see it, you're much less likely to set off that sensor and you're going to be able to go right through. So if you have anything, even if you think it might set it off, just hold it out in front of you. Err on the side of caution so that you can breeze right through and go queue at the touch points.
I've been stopped pretty much every time because I go into the parks every day with a Loungefly backpack, and I get stopped pretty much every time. It takes no more than 30 seconds for them to do a quick check, and you're on your way again.
Yeah. Having said that, it is a bit of a buzzkill, but it does happen. So if that happens to you, don't get discouraged. Just follow the cast members. They're going to try to get you out as soon as possible. And as soon as you get free, head to the touch points and you're going to be fine.
Last time it happened to me and we were with the kids, Oliver just went ahead with the kids and I had my bag searched and I met up with them within 45 seconds.
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, they won't let you go queue at the touch points until about 7:30. So early entry starts a half hour before the park actually opens. So that's 8:30 if the park opens at 9. But you will be let into the park well before early entry actually starts. We've been let in as early as 45 minutes. So about 7:45 when early entry starts at 8:30. Main Street USA will be open during this time if you don't qualify for early entry or if you rather mosey around Main Street and take photos.
Yeah, so when it's time to go in, you're going to be standing in the queue ready to scan your ticket, your wristband, your phone, whatever you have. And you're going to see the basically cast member manager come to the front and you can kind of tell that things are about to get started. And then they kind of announce, all right, here we go. And it just starts to flow. There's a system to it. You're going to tap and then put your finger on it. And then your light will turn green and off you go. When we have our kids, it's a little bit more stressful, but our kids have honestly gotten the hang of it. They're little rock stars when it comes to that. So once you get through it, boy, you are off. And what a view as you're walking down Main Street, let me tell you.
Yeah, 100%. So when you scan your Magic Band, you are required to scan your finger as well. That's tied to your ticket. One thing you can do with your kids is if your kids are very small and you're worried about them and their finger, you can set their ticket or their Magic Band to your finger. So something to keep in mind there. If that's stressing you out, you can 100% set that up. So don't sweat it. Now, like Lucie said, once the gates open, so to speak, once your light goes green and you're let into the park, it is go time. So if you are going there for early entry and you want to maximize your ride time, I suggest going straight to Fantasyland. Yeah. So the only 2 lands open during early entry are going to be Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. You can't miss it. You're going straight up Main Street and you're going to see cast members with big signs marked early entry, like directing you exactly where you need to go. And that's right. You go right. There's going to be a second line of cast members there with tablets. and you stay with your party. Only one of you needs to scan here, not your whole party. So if there's 4 of you, only one needs to scan. This is my party of 4. It confirms that you are eligible for early entry, and then you go either to Tomorrowland or to Fantasyland.
Yeah, absolutely. And then basically at that point, whether you're going to be going to Tomorrowland or Fantasyland, you're basically going to get into a big line with everybody else. It's a little bit chaotic because it's not actually a line. It's just a huge crowd of people. And for the most part, everybody's good. Once you get into your spot, you kind of stay there. And it does seem really chaotic. I promise you, it does get better once the rope drops and you actually get to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of like the second portion of rope drop. So you do rope drop at the touch points, and then you do rope drop at the attractions, or rather at Fantasyland or Tomorrowland to get to the attractions.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for Fantasyland, you're going to queue just beside Cheshire Cafe.
That's
and
right.
it backs up from there.
And there's bathrooms there just in case while you're waiting in line, your littles, anybody has to go to the bathroom. There are bathrooms right next to Cheshire Cafe. And so that's definitely the place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've had a couple coffees or some water, it's definitely nice to have that there. If you're going to Tomorrowland, on the far end of the bridge leading into Tomorrowland, that's where you're going to be held. Now, the closest washroom there actually back towards Tomorrowland Terrace, which isn't super convenient. It's actually quite a little bit of ways away. So something to keep in mind there. We've rope dropped both Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, but Fantasyland is by far your best bet because Seven Dwarfs Mine Train will have a long wait literally all day. It never doesn't have a long wait.
All day, every day. Yeah.
Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is not on Genie Plus either, so it's either standby or individual lightning lane. So definitely a good use of your early morning entry. Whereas Space Mountain's wait time sometimes dips and is generally less of a wait than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is. So if you're going to do either or and you're planning on doing both rides, I say go to Fantasyland and do Seven Dwarfs.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. If you want to ride all the rides, maximize everything, I would say Fantasyland is your way to go first thing in the morning. It is nice to ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train right off the hop and not have to pay for it.
Yeah, 100%. It is a quick ride. We do love it. Like, it's very cute, especially that dark portion on the inside.
Our kids loved it. Like, it's so cute, but it's super fast. You're on that ride for maybe 35 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite that short, but it is pretty short. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So going back to actually being in that big crowd of people. So it's actually kind of stressful, like Lucie mentioned, when the rope drops. Cast members from the different attractions will be waiting at the front of the pack. They give an announcement to follow the cast members from the different attractions, not to walk in front of them, not to run, and you better follow the directions. I don't know what happens if you don't, but I don't know. I don't think you want to find that out.
I agree. Yeah. When that rope drops, you are walking with a huge clump of people. If you have your kids, you got to hold on tight. Probably best if you can carry them. Each of you carry one of them if you can, because all of a sudden you're going to be walking and you're going to have to form a single file line basically just to get onto the ride into the queue. So everybody's pushing and shoving. It can get a little heated at times, I've seen, but for the most part, everybody's pretty good. It's just trying to get into that queue with your entire party attached, basically. And you may feel like you're way behind in the line, but I promise you, you will ride that ride within maybe 5 minutes of getting into that queue.
Yeah, like assuming you're close to the front of the pack, like we've never been like far back by the bridge or further back. We're usually pretty close to the front. So yes, we normally get onto the ride fairly quickly. I have to think though that if you're far back, like if you're showing up 30 minutes after they've let people into the park, that line gets long quickly. So
we'll have to try that maybe just to test the theory.
Yeah, maybe so we can report back to you guys. But I have to think that at some point the line does become long. If you're close to the front of the pack though, there is no lightning lane during early entry, right? So the line is going to move quickly, even if there is a line. So don't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
If you're at the front of the pack and you're able to get on to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train within the first few minutes, that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Pro tip. I've said this before. I've posted a reel recently on Instagram saying this. I've said it in a previous podcast. Once you get off Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, if you're interested in riding Peter Pan, go to it. You're likely going to see an inflated wait time, like something like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, but I promise you, go get in line. Again, between 8:30 and 9, there's not any lightning lanes, so that line is going to move fast, right? Last time we were there with the kids, it said 40 minutes. How long were we in line?
17, I think we had clocked it at.
Yeah, we clocked it around 17 minutes, so less than half the wait time, 17 minutes.
And honestly, the queue for Peter Pan is adorable. It's really fun to walk through, actually. So honestly, I suggest that as well. Right away off of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Peter Pan.
Yeah, absolutely. So assuming you got on Seven Dwarfs pretty quickly and then you made it to Peter Pan, if it's not 9 o'clock, it's going to be pretty close to it. So normally what we do is we'll go to Liberty Square. And from there, we're going to go into either Liberty Square or Adventureland or Frontierland, depending on what we're doing. Typically speaking, all the people that weren't eligible for early entry, they queued to Adventureland and they're going to Jungle Cruise. That's another ride that has long waits throughout the day. So they're probably rope dropping that area. So I would suggest Liberty Square, either go do Haunted Mansion or book it to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I would also say you could do Splash Mountain in regular times, but that is currently down and being reimagined into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, not set to open until late 2024. So for the time being, if you have a trip sometime in the next 14 months, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad or Haunted Mansion is your next best bet.
Absolutely. And you can actually get on Haunted Mansion and Big Thunder Railroad without ever having used your Genie Plus yet. So that means that you are still going to ride those two rides again with your Genie Plus.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's something I actually forgot to talk about is Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. So let's put a pin in this for now, right? So we did our early entry, we did a few rides, and then we went, let's say, to Haunted Mansion or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad or both, right? That's how you're starting your morning. Way back when we started walking towards the bus stop, like I said, we usually leave around 6:50. We usually have our 7 a.m. happen when we're waiting for the bus. So usually this is what we're doing. Lucie will be on her phone, I will be on mine. And then it's a coordinated effort. I will usually grab our individual lightning lanes. So if we're going to Magic Kingdom, Tron is still a fairly new ride. We like to ride it twice. When 7 a.m. hits, Lucie's going to be trying for the virtual queue for Tron. And I'm going to be booking our very first Genie Plus selection, which is usually either Peter Pan or Jungle Cruise, which right now is Jingle Cruise. So when we go at the end of November, I think we're going to go for Jingle Cruise because it's nice to do the holiday overlay. So I'm going for Jingle Cruise. Lucie's going for virtual queue. As soon as one of us is free, then the second person is going to book the individual lightning lane for Tron. So a lot is happening at 7 a.m., but between the two of us, we prioritize what's going to go first. The first thing to go for sure is virtual queues. So that's number one. Second thing is Genie Plus. That's going to go next. So we choose those. Individual lightning lanes typically hang on around a little longer. Yep. So we do that last.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had success every single time with this method. The two of us doing it, not an issue. Even when we had our kids with us, not an issue. Our kids are real chill and they're excited for the day. So they give us that space to be able to book all that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we try for our very first Genie Plus selection, we try to obviously do it quickly and try to get a time within the first 2 hours of park open. So if the park opens at 9, we're aiming for that first lightning lane to be somewhere between 9 and 11. The reason for that is because say we get a 10 o'clock return time for Jingle Cruise. When we go scan into that at 10 o'clock, as soon as we scan in, we can make our next one. If we have a time that's at 11 or later, we have to wait that full 120 minutes to scan in or for that 120 minutes to lapse before we can make our next selection. So we try to get it within the first 2 hours. And if we don't, we refresh it until we do. We have a
modify.
100%. Modify and refresh and try for a better time. We've had a really, really high success rate doing that. Hey?
Yeah, we have been able to successfully ride most rides twice every single time we're in the parks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so going back to
Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder Mountain, you can definitely ride those at park open at 9 a.m. No problem without even using your Disney Genie Plus yet. It is very easy to do so. Same with Splash Mountain when it used to be, when it will be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. You can easily get those 3 rides knocked off at opening without using your Genie Plus yet. So you'll know you'll get to ride them again, usually in the afternoon.
Yeah. So you can definitely get a lot done between 8:30 and around, let's say, 10 o'clock. Around 10 o'clock is when we usually have our first lightning lane, somewhere usually around that time. So we would go do that. After that, about 10 o'clock, 10:30 is usually when we start to get kind of hungry.
Yeah.
And then we start thinking about a snack, right? So our 2 go-to snacks at Magic Kingdom are the cinnamon roll from Gaston's Tavern in Fantasyland or the fresh fruit waffle sandwich at Sleepy Hollow in Liberty Square.
So good. The Nutella and the fresh fruit. Ooh, you can't beat that one.
Yeah, 100%. Nutella is my weakness.
Yeah. Cinnamon buns are my weakness. So yeah, we win either way.
Yeah, 100%. That cinnamon roll is massive. So we do normally split it.
Yeah.
We get some extra icing for dipping. So that's definitely worth it. I definitely recommend that. That place, though, Gaston's Tavern, does not have mobile order, which is kind of unfortunate because it does get quite a bit of a long line, especially like around that mid-morning, because I think a lot of people want cinnamon rolls at that time.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to wait, it's definitely worth it.
And honestly, I'm sure Oliver has already mentioned this before, but remember, you can always get ice water at these quick service locations, and it is not an issue to go back and you get more. Ice water goes perfect with all of these snacks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I'm not sure if I did mention that previously. From quick service locations, you can get free ice water. It doesn't cost you anything. Yep. Free ice water. Stay hydrated. It gets hot in the parks. It gets humid. You're sweating. You're walking a lot. Make sure to stay hydrated. Super, super important. Now, Sleepy Hollow with the fresh fruit waffle sandwich does have mobile order. So it's more convenient to eat there in that sense, because you can make your order ahead of time. And then when you're there, I'm here, prepare my order, and then you go pick it up.
Yeah. And it always seems like there's a lot of people hanging around there and that you might not get a table. But honestly, every single time we've gone there, even with our kids, we've been able to snag a table. So usually people aren't sitting down and hanging out for a long period of time. They're going to eat their food, drink their water, and off they go again to hit up some more rides. So there's usually always a table or two that becomes available as you get your food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so from here, we're likely heading to our second Genie Plus selection of the day, depending on what we were able to get. Peter Pan, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain, depending how our morning went, which one we selected first. Usually a lot of the rides we do in the morning, like Lucie said, we're able to do a second time by Lightning Lane, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Around this time, we also like to catch the Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair, which usually has a few showtimes mid-morning into the very early afternoon. So for example, next week's showtimes are 10, 11:10, and 12:50 just after lunch.
Yeah, super cute show. Our daughter just loved every single minute of it. It's so much fun to watch. Kind of gives you a little break. You can just rest your feet for a bit. Lots of fun.
Yeah. Also, the parade, Festival of Fantasy, usually has one or two parades depending on the day. If there's only one, you don't want to miss it. So make sure to check the My Disney Experience app when you're there to make sure you don't miss that. Make sure you're there at the time that it's being put on. Next week, for example, there's two every day. So there's one at noon and one at 3. Pro tip. Check out the parade in Frontierland.
Absolutely, 100%. You will find a spot front and center, no problem. And I promise you, the song Festival of Fantasy will be stuck in your head the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, catchy tune. But yeah, Frontierland is definitely a good spot to catch the parade from. That's where the parade kicks off. So it'll start there and then make its way around near the castle and then back down Main Street. If you're not super set on watching it from Main Street, this is a great spot because the crowds are less, but it's the same parade and same floats. Everything is the same.
Absolutely, because then you get to see the parade first, and once it's past you, you get to move on with your day while everybody else is waiting for it to come past them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great time to ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad because everyone's watching the parade. So if you didn't get to ride it, now's a good time to go. Yes. Absolutely.
Agreed.
So in the afternoon, we continue riding attractions and using our Genie Plus selection as we go along. We may stop for a savory snack in the early afternoon as well, like the spring rolls at the snack cart at the entrance to Adventureland. The cheeseburger or pizza spring rolls are the best.
Yeah, the cheeseburger one is good. It usually comes with a little dipping sauce. It's perfect. It's just a perfect little snack that you needed just to keep going. We
had the 50th anniversary ones with was like pastrami. We weren't huge fans of that one, but now it's back to pizza and cheeseburger, and they are both good options.
Absolutely.
We usually get pretty tight around this time as well. So we are coffee drinkers. So we like to grab some iced coffees. So usually from Main Street Bakery, which is the Starbucks location at Magic Kingdom.
We're both real big fans of the vanilla sweet cream cold brews. And so that Starbucks location right on Main Street is perfect. Usually around 1:30, 2 o'clock when you're starting to fade, the sun is hot. It's just the perfect drink to keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And like Lucie said, that's usually when we start to fade a bit. So we do like to do some easier rides at this time too. So we'd like to head into Tomorrowland and do the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover.
My favorite ride. It's so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great one. The train is also a good option. So the Walt Disney World Railroad train around the park, that's usually how our day goes. We go hard in the first few hours of the day, and then we can take our foot off the gas later in the afternoon and enjoy some of those easy rides.
Yeah. And I just have to say, in Tomorrowland, I cannot vouch enough for Carousel of Progress. It is the last ride that Walt Disney himself had a hand in completely from start to finish. And it's in a nice, cool space. And it's just a wonderful little attraction to sit and watch and know that Walt had a hand in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's close to 30 minutes, if I remember correctly. It's a rotating theater, essentially. So you sit down in a theater and then it rotates around. You don't have to go anywhere. Plus, like Lucie said, I'm a huge Walt Disney fan. So is Lucie. We like that this is one of the last attractions he had a hand in. It was actually featured in the 64-65 World's Fair. What a great attraction. Plus, Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Lovely tune. We love it.
Another one that'll get stuck in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. So for dinner, there are some restaurants we like to eat at in the park, but we do really enjoy going to the Magic Kingdom area resorts for dinner as well. So an obvious and standout favorite for us is Ohana at the Polynesian.
Absolutely. This is one of our favorites. It's a beautiful restaurant, great vibes. The food is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you start off with a mixed green salad and bread with honey butter. Then they bring out the broccolini, the dumplings, and the Ohana noodles. Yes, please.
Our favorite, as well as wings.
Yep, those wings 100% come out with the broccolini and the dumplings and the noodles all at the same time. And then they'll bring out the skillet with all the meats. So there'll be teriyaki beef, chimichurri chicken. Sorry, that's hard to say. We can't stop laughing. It's hard to say. And the peel and eat shrimp. And then for dessert is that Ohana bread pudding. My God, so good.
To die for.
Absolutely.
Delicious.
So good. It's really, really good. They pour that hot caramel sauce on top, and yeah, it really hits the spot.
Divine. You are full when you leave there. And if you really want more noodles after you guys finish your first portion, they'll bring you more noodles. There is never a lack of food in this place.
Yep. It's all you can eat, like Lucie said. So if you want more of anything, they'll bring you more, including that bread pudding.
But you really don't need more because they give you plenty on the first try.
Yeah. Having said that, zero judgment.
Oh, absolutely.
We also like lunch at Steakhouse 71. Right?
Yeah, it's super delicious. Actually, we've only been there once, but I was actually really impressed with the sandwich I had. There's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I had the stack burger, which I think is a staple at lunchtime, and it was really, really good.
Yeah.
As well as Geyser Point at Wilderness Lodge. It's on the water there. It gives off very Three Bridges vibes.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so really good food there, really good drinks. That's a good option. Wilderness Lodge also has Artist Point, which is a wonderful place to eat supper at, especially with your littles.
Oh, it's magical. That's the only thing I can say is it's magical there.
Yeah, so it's a character meal with Snow White, Dopey,
Grumpy,
yes,
and the Evil Queen. And our son, who is not big into the princesses and fairy tales, had the biggest smile on his face the entire time he was there. He just thought it was wonderful. Our daughter was over the moon. The food was delicious. I cannot praise that one enough. It was just beautiful in there. And the way they have it set up, gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Lucie said, the food for a character meal is actually really good. We were really impressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over at the Contemporary, they have the California Grill, which is more upscale. It's on the top floor, which gives you good views of Magic Kingdom and that entire resort area, the Seven Seas Lagoon. So that's definitely worth a visit as well. It's nice to get out of the parks. The hustle and bustle it gets to be a lot. You don't have quiet time when you're in the park. So it's nice to get out in the parks just for a little bit, to have a bit of quiet time and to refuel.
Absolutely. And there's no reason why you can't go back into the parks and ride more rides once you've had your meal at a restaurant at one of the resorts.
Yeah, absolutely. If we stay in the park, we really like Jungle Navigation Limited Company Skipper Canteen, or just Skipper Canteen for short. It has some food that's out of the norm, which is really yummy.
Yeah, it's actually really tasty there. And the crew that works there, they're a riot. They're hilarious.
Yeah, they're skippers, right? That's the story. It's tied to Jungle Cruise, so they will tell you some punny jokes.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely. In the evening, we'll finish up any rides we didn't get done, wrap up some lightning lanes that we didn't use, and then catch the fireworks. So right now, the nighttime spectacular is Happily Ever After, which is a wonderful show. Around 30 to 40 minutes or so, you can still get a good spot and a good view of the fireworks. You don't need to stake out a spot, for over an hour or more in advance. So don't worry too much about that.
Agreed. Yeah. You know what? Honestly, there's not really that many bad spots. You're usually pretty good wherever you end up planting your feet. And I can tell you from many experiences, you will cry. Everybody cries.
Yeah.
Watching that.
Yeah, we're huge Disney fans, so we do get misty when the fireworks hit and the songs hit. It hits different for us. We absolutely love it. It's really a great experience. So after the fireworks, if you're not in a rush, then don't rush. Okay?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a mass exodus. Don't let that be you. Walk down Main Street, mobile order something from the Main Street confectionery, walk around the shops back towards the entrance. Your exit's going to be much more pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. All those shops on Main Street are still open for a little bit of time after the fireworks. So like Oliver said, do not rush. This is probably when the shops are actually going to be really quiet and you can actually have time to browse and look at the t-shirts and stuff that you couldn't really before during the day because there was way too many people around.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never had issues doing that technique, and it actually makes our exit much more pleasant. We know a lot of people gripe about the buses, but again, leaving in the morning, we've never had issues, and we've never had issues leaving at night. So when you exit the park and you go towards the buses, they'll have the big signs with the resorts with a number. You just go to the bus station with your number to your resort. They don't have signs here. So if there's not a bus already there, usually they come every 15 or 20 minutes, usually more often even at park close because they know a lot of people are heading back to the resorts.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you see a big lineup for your bus, don't worry if you don't get on that one bus. You're going to have to wait maybe another 15, 20 minutes, like Oliver said, and then you'll be on a bus for sure, headed back to the resort.
Yeah, never had an issue getting on the bus at the end of the day. The lights do go off when you are on the bus at the end of the day heading back to your resort. And if you're tired, which you're going to be because you just spent an entire day in the park, you're going to start to doze off. And when those lights go back on, when it stops,
it's a shock.
It hits you like a freight train. But it's a rite of passage for Disney park goers.
Every child, I'm pretty sure, falls asleep. I know ours did. Yeah, everybody's just usually, it's very quiet. It's very dark. Everybody's just ready for bed at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode. So again, this is usually how Lucie and I like to structure our day. This may not work for you and your party, but hopefully you got a better idea of how you can structure your day, pick and choose what's most important to you, and apply that to your itinerary.
I honestly can't emphasize this enough. Starting your trip for Disney World at Magic Kingdom, it doesn't beat that. Seeing the castle, just getting to experience it for the first time, if it is your first time, I always suggest Magic Kingdom day one.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. With that said, thank you so much for joining us today to talk Magic Kingdom. To make sure you don't miss any future episodes, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We would also love it if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. This helps us reach more listeners, and we love the feedback. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for much more magical content. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all our socials. Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.